And then, you know, the writer's strike was an effective political action. That was good, too.
So there were no stories that you had to sort of scuttle, or like,
we had to, we were going to delve more deeply in season 3 into their mother, because we set it up in the beginning of the season and then never paid it off. We were going to delve a little deeper into Sam's journey, sort of where he's going, and sort of the flirtation to use these abilities that were kind of growing inside him. These are all becoming, you know, primary concerns of season 4. You know, we're going to see Mary and John as younger. I think John's 20 and Mary's 18 as soon as episode 4. So really early we're getting into the storylines that we had to drop, because we sort of, the storyline that seemed the one that we had to answer was Dean's deal and whether he went to hell, so we kind of put everything else on the back burner until we were able to address that, and then, you know, we'll get into the other stuff in season 4.
And, go ahead. You once said that you would be quite happy for the show to run 5 seasons.
Yeah.
As we go into season 4, do you still feel that way?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, and actually my bosses are in the room, so I want to do it forever. It's better to go out on top. You know, I'm really afraid of jumping the shark. Like, that's like a huge fear of mine. I've made this joke before, but I don't want Hawaiian weddings and Raven Simone and like the whole, like, we're in London now and hilarious and just all that shark jumping. And better to go out like on top and strong. And this a story like this is so epic and has, you know, it wants to have an ending where you can walk away kind of satisfied and smoke a cigarette rather than just dragging off into, you know, a inevitable slide into mediocrity. And I want to try to avoid that if we can.
And the rest of you all seem to be nodding along with that. You agree?
Whatever Eric says.
Sarah,
Susan?
barely keeping the circus contained. Sarah and Ben, tell me about some of the favorite episodes that you've written this season.
Written over this season I wrote...
The past season.
Oh yeah, okay, good, because I wrote one, that's my favorite. I love it. Actually, the one I just finished is a really interesting, it's one of my favorites, but I think right now, I like Ghostfacers. To be honest.
Who came up with that idea?
Pardon me?
Who came up with Ghostfacers?
Oh, well, actually I came in and said kind of like, I think we should do the Blair Witch sort of video kind of Ghost Hunters thing. And Eric was behind it. So then we just had to sit down and make it all up. I think they were going to be the Boo Boys for a while, right?
What were the Boys and Boo?
Oh, yeah.
Terrible. And for the record, that was like I was like, well, we could call them the Boys and Boo. And then Ben's like, don't be an idiot, we're calling them the Ghostfacers. And for the record, when Ben pitched it, I just want to be clear about this. When he came in and he's like, so I want to do this episode, and they're called the Ghostfacers, and they have this theme song, and here's the song. And then he sang Bob Singer and I the entire song. Like he's like, I'm gonna come up with a pitch and lyrics, and like we were like, we love it. And I think it was the song that actually sold it.
Well, that's good to know. I'll put a song in every episode. I really want to. Fish sings, can he come? If the fish sings, can he come?
Oh. He wants, okay. Ben keeps pitching this episode about his wishing fish. It's like this fish that you hold in your hands and makes your wishes come true, and he goes, and every time it's time to pitch an episode, he's like, so, okay, here's how the wishing fish can work. every effing time. And we're like, maybe, it's like every time Charles Manson comes up for parole, we're always like, it's not gonna,
He was always going to be a koi this time, remember? Yeah. I'm going to get that fish.
Sarah, did you have a favorite from the past season that you wrote?
This is my least favorite question. But, well, it's one of my least favorite.
It was Eric's question,
Here's my
actually.
question.
I'm a big fan of Justin Bellow. First and foremost, because I think you two did such a tremendous job, both of you. And you know, when you write a show that takes place primarily in one location, and you write like 6-page scenes where people are talking, there's a lot of potential for it to suck, and for it to be all the writer's fault. And when it goes well, it's because the director was awesome and the writers were awesome. And the director was awesome and the actors were awesome.
Say what you mean.
Because they were awesome, and Phil Segretia was awesome, and you know, everyone on the set really did a great job. And you know, it was one of those things where the hammer was over our head, and we were about to go on strike. And Eric came to me and said, "I know you want to do an episode about what happens when you're dreaming, but I want you to do this episode about cops instead." And I was like, "I don't really want to do an episode about cops instead," but it turned out to be really fun and cool. So, you know, a little out of my wheelhouse is the way to go, I think. Yeah.
And Jared, you're hot too. Yeah. There are rumors.
I'm so glad she's saying it so I don't have to.
There are rumors that Sam is getting a serious girlfriend season 4. Is that true?
You know what? I'd love to be able to answer that question, but that would go back to you. You have to find out, huh?
Well, there's that, and then like Holly, who's our publicist, came to us with a quote to describe. There's this character Christy, and you know, there's some potential exchange of bodily fluids. But
Not like, hey, you're gonna have a kissing scene. Get prepared.
Yeah.
And bodily
We get real graphic. We get real basic instinct. But they asked me to describe the. Holly asked me to describe the character so she could kind of release, you know, a description, and so I released, and I do sort of, you know, to the fans who get upset by this, but I wrote in love interest just kind of to screw with you guys. Because you guys get so angry every time we reference love interest, like you get, and you gnash your teeth online, and you're like, I hate it, why? And so we were like, you know, it was kind of late in the day, and I may have been one beer deep, and I was sort of like, I said love interest, because I want to see how upset they get. So, but don't sweat it, like it's not like, anyway, I think you'll be pleased with where the character goes, but we wrote in love interest to
Just to mess with us.
F with you guys.
Well, so speaking of things like that, Jared, Jensen, you've been with these guys now for 3 years. Is there anything that they're writing out that still surprises you? Anything about the turns in the characters, or anything that happened in the last season you were like, I so didn't see that coming?
For me, it's yes and no. I think the first season I realized that I was going to be so surprised by everything that just not to expect anything or not expect anything. How's that from history? So no, I'm not really surprised anymore. And you know, Eric and the bunch have kind of explained what they want to do or what they're thinking, but it's likely to change. And so I've realized that, you know, I'm an actor telling their story, so wherever their story goes is where I go.